Aloha, friends and neighbors. Welcome to show 884. And I thought I'd introduce you to, this is Shadow, a new addition to our family. Shadow came in downstairs and adopted us. And what's extraordinary about this cat is it keeps looking at you right in the eyes. But more than anything, this is just a kitten. And I can say things like, go in the kitchen and there's a plate with something on it, and bang, he goes right in there. The cat seems to understand English like no other cat I've ever had or met. Well, anyway, when I left off on the last show, I was talking about intelligent animals, and I want to expand on that. Not just because I met a Pseudorca, they call a false killer whale. I got this little pamphlet, and it says in it that these are highly intelligent mammals and that they share their catch, and they've been known to share their catch with swimmers and fishermen in boats. What's that? Yes, here's this enormous sea mammal. Killer whales are very smart, as you know, but here's an endemic one. There's only 140 of them swimming around the Hawaiian Islands. And I've learned that things that evolve in the Hawaiian Islands are very special. And I thought I'd tell you a little bit about that. I spent several years researching konani, the Hawaiian game of checkers, they call it, or drafts. And I got into it because I found some boards in the stone down along the shoreline. And when I looked into it, none of the so-called scientists knew much about it. I talked with some of the local people, and they didn't seem to know much about it. Even those that were akamai had a kind of a dumb attitude about it. One lady, the most respected archaeologist here, said, "Oh yeah, they're everywhere." Well, it took several years and a lot of research, and I found myself going back to look at when the first white man came into Hawaii. Captain Cook, Captain King, and Captain Clark, where Captain Cook had two co-captains, you know. Like amazing things came up about the way Hawaiians lived with animals and things around them. For instance, Captain Cook said that when he first came to the Kona coast, he said, "These people swim like fish." He says, 8-year-old girls and 80-year-old ladies jump overboard when we're a mile out and think nothing of swimming into shore. Then he said, what's more, the water is alive with sharks. He said, I cannot understand it because nobody seems to get bit. It must be due to the nimbleness of the natives, unquote. So Captain Cook and his co-captains had been around the world and seen sharks interact with people everywhere, but they come to Hawaii and the Hawaiians seem to have made pets of the sharks. Well, here's this Pseudorca, this amazingly intelligent creature. There's only 140 of them swimming in New Shore. And they share their catch. Highly intelligent. Hawaiians probably had this Pseudorca as a good friend. Well, my researchers in Konani came to some amazing conclusions. It took 4 or 5 years. And as I went through the accounts of Cook and Clark and King and other people who came in when Kamehameha the Great was down here in Kona, because Kamehameha the Great loved konani. Now konani is not just checkers. It was played on very large boards. And the more I researched it, what I found was that it took an amazing mind to do it. Okay, here's the second animal, highly intelligent. First, there's the false killer whale, the Sudorka. Then here comes the Hawaiian, and nobody else can play this long, complicated game. And the people who came to Hawaii on boats, from whalers to, explorers and white men from all over, they all played a couple of games on board. They played drafts, which is just checkers, and another game, Siga, which is an East Indian game, which has a 9x9 board with the center hole safe. And these sailors gambled on these games. So when they came to Hawaii, they said, "Come on, you Hawaiians, gamble with us." The Hawaiians said, "Yeah, play Konani." But the Westerners couldn't play Konani. It was too much for them. The game was too big, complicated, took too long or something. So the Hawaiians had to start playing drafts and Siga, which they did so well, they beat everybody and got so that none of the people, the white men who came in, would gamble with a Hawaiian on a game. And this got to be such a thing that the Queen of England heard about the amazing Hawaiians and their mental abilities with these games, and sent the world's champion British drafts team all the way around the world to Hawaii to challenge the Hawaiians. The Kamehameha the Great fielded the Queen's team. I don't know what that means, it's just in the book. And beat the best of the British Empire at their own game, drafts. What goes on there? Well, I came upon other things. Amazing memory abilities the Hawaiians had. In particular, that one quote from a minister down here in Kona, an ali'i came to him and said, "I want to learn to read English." And he learned English in a month, learned to read it. And he took a Bible home, and in a fortnight, he memorized the whole Bible. This amazing feat was not uncommon amongst Hawaiians. So here's a bunch of people that seem to have an extraordinary mental ability. They didn't have to invent writing because they remembered. Here's this amazing Sudorka, this false killer whale that's highly intelligent and shares its fish with you. This humankind man who's amazingly intelligent. And finally, here's Alala. I'm writing up the Alala story right now for publication. And more I got into that, I find this amazing raven, bigger than other ravens, much smarter than other ravens. What the heck? A big, huge raven that's of high IQ, the smartest bird in the world. And the false killer whale is probably the smartest mammal in the ocean. And the Hawaiian, I think, is probably the smartest human on this planet. Yes, who can memorize the Bible in a week. So what goes on? The isolation of these wonderful islands produces extreme high intelligence in a huge ocean mammal, in a huge bird, and in a people. And intelligence is all around us of an extraordinary nature. Of course, you're not supposed to know. No, the white man says, these are all primitives, that animals don't think. The cat doesn't understand me. The Alala doesn't have the IQ of an 8-year-old. I mean, we're supposed to believe that these animals and these people of the past are stupid compared to our amazing modern intelligence. Gee, false pride, ignorance, and you've been taught some attitudes that are wrong. Animals think and feel, have spirit like you do. And Hawaiians are very, very smart. I remember when I first got to these islands in the early 60s, people would say, "Oh, and Hawaiians all lazy and not so smart." Hell, Hawaiians had a higher reading rate than any place in the world. They were so smart. But we've conveniently forgotten that, haven't we? We've conveniently forgotten that the raven kept in a federal prison is the smartest animal in the world. And we've conveniently forgot that the Sudorka, I'm going to show you, something came up a few days ago on the internet about them. They're being decimated by longline fishermen and such, that we've conveniently forgot how special they are. Very special things in our islands. Pays to pay attention to such things and, tell folks about this. We can change the attitudes. Remember the 100 monkeys? Only took 100 monkeys to start washing their potatoes in Japan, and thousands of monkeys all over the island spontaneously started. So you folks are the highly intelligent ones. Once you understand something and talk about it a little bit, bang, the whole population understands. Hey, come on, let's go do the sky mirror. I hope there's more attention paid. Well, I'll show you the little bit on the false killer whale. It's a terrible name. Sudorka is a terrible name. But I'm going to show you that piece, then we'll do the sky mirror. Come on. Okay, just a little more background. My son Michael's a professional fisherman. He goes down to the DLNR Aquatic Resources office to renew his fishing license, and they gave him this pamphlet. And the first I ever saw this, the first I ever heard of this. I knew there was orcas here, but those orcas, they travel the whole ocean. These pseudorcas, at least 150 of them, they're in Hawaiian waters, and they're genetically unique species from other so-called false killer whales. And they share their catch. What got me when I saw this in the pamphlet, there's a tip-off. They cooperatively hunt. They talk to each other. They share their prey and been known to share their fish prey with human swimmers and people in boats. Wow. Then, a few days later, up pops this thing on Yahoo. And they call it false killer whale. And one washes up on the beach, and everybody's upset because just a year ago they were qualified as endangered. They're listed as endangered. They wanted to determine how it died. Well, there's only 150 of them left. These are the unique species like the Hawaiian raven. They found all these hooks in its belly. They said the hooks, some of them were starting to dissolve. And then in the article, there's a whole bunch of stuff about the circle hooks recently adopted by Hawaiian longline fishermen. These are hooks that are circular, and they tend to prevent the snagging of accidental snagging of dolphins. So longline fishermen have been killing these guys for a while. The longline industry is like corporate fishing, okay? It's terrible. And these animals eat, mahi-mahi and ahi and the other fish that we eat. So it turns out they could have just regular guys like my son out there fishing on his boat, goes trolling, could accidentally come upon one of these guys. So, they got these new hooks that won't hurt them and allow them